So my attempt to do this, that if we think about the physical space over here on the left, if we think about the physical space over here on the left, and I must admit I was hoping for a little bit more controversy during the day for entertainment purposes, but we have been agreeing with each other quite a lot. So I think perhaps we would say that we're going to take up a fair bit of space with, let's say, whole body cooling or cold water immersion / contrast, if we're in agreement with that, if this is our physical space on the left here. How much room would we devote to massage and therapies if we have a given fixed space, if we are talking about effect size and what we would do for this? So perhaps if I could direct to start off with to the guys who are running recovery clinics, Chris, Shona and Greg. And if we can, we might just get you to talk into the microphone there.
On this one?
Oh, that'll do.
Honor to you.
Ladies first.
We call that a handball in Australia.
I need to prepare my answer.
I guess with our recovery centre, we still have separate physical therapies and massage in a different building. And it was for a number of reasons, but at the moment we have it separate. So we have the option, we have the space there, and it would be in size about probably a third of the size of the wet area. And the reason that it's that small is because we don't do a lot of treatment in there. The big treatment is in the physical therapies and in the massage area where the clinicians are based and where the therapists are all the time, because we didn't want to be bringing people back and forth. So I guess it would be nice if we had the whole thing in one big building, but at the moment we've got it separate, but with an option there for treatment if people do want treatment.
So pretend for a moment that you're in a different part of the world where money might not be an option, and we do have a chance to blue sky and say this is how it absolutely should be. So there will be a nearby clinical therapies area, and if we've just come, let's say that the pitch, you're coming off the pitch from down in that direction, and everybody's going to be walking in this way once they come off the field. We will devote this much area to massage, or do you think the effect size, it's not worth it, or?
I think that in terms of massage, there's not a lot of evidence, but I think it's still something that athletes are going to use. I think we haven't probably researched the right questions, so I think there's definitely, I would include it, and I think if you could have everything in the one area, and that way what you also have is you have therapists who are seeing athletes on a regular basis just because they're in the same environment. So when we've designed other facilities, we've had that area with sort of a glass wall in between, so you've got the therapists are treating, but they can also see what's happening in the actual recovery area, and you've got a big flow through of athletes, so you've got more communication between the therapists. So I would have it all together if I had an unlimited spend. Now I'm going to handball to Chris.
Do we have any modification to that?
Approximately the same answer. It means that firstly, most of the elite athletes consider that they recover, especially after massage. It means that they need massage in their training program a week. That's the first point. It's exactly the same process and as I told you already, doing international competitions. It means that most of the work of the job of the physio, it's devoted to about 70% for massage. Even if it's mostly perceptual evidence and not really scientific or physiological evidence. But when I tried to change email with Mark Ternopolsky in University of Hamilton, just try to go on with this kind of studies on massage, and with biopsy, it means very serious one studies. It seems to work more and more, but we need more time in order to just to manage exactly the time to recover. And Many papers just focus also on the background of the therapists, and actually, the only paper should emphasize that there is an effect, benefit effect. It's the background. It's more than 50 hours background of the therapies, and if you used to take a background of less than 450 hours practical application massage from the physio, it did not work. Then it's also a methodological point that we have to take into account.
Okay. Greg, did you want to add anything to that?
No, I agree. I
Okay.
agree with. I think it's important to think about the practicability.
Yeah.
So the players, the athletes will come from the
Let's say here.
yes. So after they, I think the size of the massage room should be higher or bigger.
Yeah.
Because I don't think it's the right proportion, because you need. Yeah, because how many tables can you put inside?
Just pretend money was no option, and
Okay.
we're dealing with a football squad now, and we want to do it like that.
And also, I think it's important to separate both.
Yeah.
Yes. That's fine for me.
Okay. Okay. Now we did have discussion of an active area as well.
Yes.
So if we say think about that, are we going to eat up space in which direction to have some form of active exercise, be it, as you're saying, non-weight bearing exercise, or what would be our preference there?
For me, it would be a non-weight bearing exercise, like it could be pool or bike.
Yeah. So we have our with our cold water immersion area. Then we were thinking we're going to have pools up.
Pools
in this
as well,
top
yeah.
part, top
And
here.
in fact, in our stadium, we have a new stadium in Lille. The configuration is we have the bath, everything for the bath, and the pool as well.
Yeah.
After we have the massage room, and on the right we have the room for the active exercise, and the warm up and warm down room.
So in terms of dividing up our space here, it's going to need to be as big as our cooling area.
Yes, when they arrive, you have the configuration is not like that, but
Sure.
it's on the right. In fact,
Okay.
I'm not clear.
No, it's perfect. So we're just trying to think, if we have a fixed amount of space and we haven't
Yeah.
decided how big that is yet, how much should we apportion and how much time should we be thinking about for these things?
I think the active, yes, for the active and non-weight bearing should be bigger as well.
I'm sorry, Shona, you're getting smaller. Yeah? Perhaps like this?
No, smaller.
Okay.
I can do it if you want. So be better.
Well, the next thing then I want to think of is if the guys come off the pitch, have come off the pitch, and the importance of ensuring that they're rehydrated and that they've taken on board adequate glycogen and protein, that perhaps the instant they come off the first place that they should walk past would be perhaps a series of fridges and some areas like this, so we can make sure that diet's done correctly. Would there be anything more important to come immediately off the pitch, the first point of contact for these guys?
And shower as well.
And
Shower.
a shower?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Couple of comments. With respect to the wet area, there's obviously a significant amount of water that gets moved from person to person, so it's a very different area in terms of the requirements for flooring, drainage. It's a very humid area, so things rust. You need it to be really sort of separate. And I agree that showers are obviously going to be really important, but I'd have them closer to the actual wet area, because there may have people that are just coming in for active recovery and massage, and you keep all the water stuff together. Makes it much easier from an engineering point of view to have all that. And obviously you want the guys, our athletes have to walk through the shower to get into the centre, so we make sure they're clean. But in terms of the active area and the massage, the way that we've sort of worked things in the past is to work out, one, what you would want in there, in that space. So would you want bikes? Would you want treadmills? And from there, how many people you actually think you're going to get through the door? Like, what's the maximum amount of people you'd have at any one time, and then tailor it to that. So an example, you would probably easily have the equivalent of 1 or 2 football teams you'd want to be able to get in the wet area at any one time, but you may not have that in the massage space.
Yeah.
Because you might not have the amount of therapists possible. So we've kind of looked at it from a number of people that you would actually have in there at the one time, and then look at the flow of how people would move through the centre, and thinking that the wet area is, with change facilities, etc., needs to probably be a little bit separate.
Okay, so we've got a hard barrier here between our wet area. We're making sure everyone's been into the showers before they go into that wet area, and it is a little bit separate from the other areas. We're now going to consider, of course, the equipment that's going to go in here. Now, you did touch on bikes versus treadmills, and you'd be happy to be doing impact exercise as part of?
We only...
Sorry, nice and loud. I think your mic's
No.
died. Maybe try. Oh, yeah.
Am I on? Yep.
Yeah.
We only have bikes, but if we, and I guess it depends on what the purpose of the facility is, but if we have a small laboratory as well that has a treadmill, so we can do some running-based research, because it is nice to have everything sort of in the one area. But for us, our active recovery would be bikes, and having either a shallow pool in the wet area to walk in, or a river of some kind that you can do active work in the wet area.
Okay.
Just in addition, Rodney, for example, I think people are used to run. They also would like to run during recovery. That's it. You can't put a runner on a bike. That's impossible for this kind of people. Then we have solved the problem with buying the Hydrojet treadmill, which is really important for rehabilitation first, and secondly also for active recovery, in order to have only maybe 50% of the weight of all subjects. That's really important. And then now it works. It means Hydrojet, it's mostly used in the recovery compared with rehabilitation. That's fine.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Just thinking about other modifiers while we're over here, I mean, obviously the systems that are in place, education has come out just about in everybody's talk about the things that we need to be building into this entire area. And so education according to sleep, and according to diet, and according to the importance of recovery, and so on. We're going to need to be thinking about the kinds of sports that we're dealing with, clearly power athletes, endurance athletes, collision athletes, and further from that, the types of athletes as well. We haven't talked about it much, but just about all this research seems to have been in young males. Females and children seem to be different, it would seem, for whatever reason. And what's required from them would perhaps be different for this. And tailoring it down to the environment as well. There's going to be very different rehydration required here in the middle of summer if somebody was doing some sport outside versus in the depths of Calgary. Similarly, travel, so being able to implement some of these things portably. If the athletes have got used to doing this and this is part of their routine, be it placebo, be it superstition or whatever, and suddenly we go away to travel and now, hey, I haven't got my shower, I haven't got my masseur, then what's that going to be doing to things? So thinking about what we do here. Thoughts on that?
I was going to say that nap rooms.
Could we? Yeah, just so everyone can hear.
So it does depend on where you are and what you're doing, but let's make the assumption that the kids here, it's too far to go home and all that kind of stuff, and they train twice a day. And so for instance, for us, the speed skaters, and I think Charlie said that they instituted them, as well, just nap rooms, and you don't need a lot of room. So, and the other thing is that those rooms can be used by sports psychologists to teach people how to meditate, and all of the stuff that can be benefited from teaching them relaxation exercises and breathing exercises and all that kind of stuff. So devoting some room to that would be really beneficial.
So how much space are we going to put up? Is it as big as massage?
I would say, I think about like an exam room of 100 square feet for an exam room, and so it could be less than that, because really you just need a pod, like on the airplane.
If we're going to do this, okay. Well, we might move that away from the active area in case those guys are making a bit much noise.
I would, I'd like to hear about how bunk beds worked. I'd like to hear about. So they were willing to take whatever you gave them. Okay, so my ideal would not be bunk beds.
So what would we do
my
instead?
My ideal would be small little pod rooms,
So
where they can just go in and very relaxed, in a relaxed setting, and it would be tiny.
I have a vision of those Japanese hotels that you see on the.
Yeah,
when
but
you
you throw a bunch of kids into a room and they're going to fart around.
And turn their screens on.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
so
sure.
this is teaching them something that's important, And so, again, you're asking for the ideal.
Yeah.
And that's not an ideal situation. That's a survival, which is fantastic that they're even making an effort. You know what I mean? But let's give these guys, if you got the money, other countries would like to have your money.
Well, we have to convince a few people of this yet.
That's best if those rooms don't have windows.
Yeah.
Bingo.
Why? Temperature control, so that you can control the temperature separately from the rest of the building. So you want it to be about 20 degrees.
Humidity matter?
Just not dry, so just a nice comfortable 50%.
Okay.
I think about an office as well for the questionnaire, because when you ask the questions and you don't have the same answer when you ask the question in front of everybody, of course.
Yeah.
So you need confidentiality for the questionnaire as well.
Yeah. Yeah, good.
Just something small.
Yeah, something small.
Okay. One sec, Chris.
Oh, sorry. Maybe some suggestion also in the immersion part or WBC part. Maybe we can have a specific space devoted to pre-coding and post-coding strategies that we have to apply specifically in Qatar due to the environmental conditions. Linked to hydration strategies, of course.
Charles?
A bank of like study carousels, computer terminals,
Uh-huh.
questions. So if you're collecting data and stuff, and it has to be done on a computer, where the kids can go and fill out questions.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of centres now where you have a couple of options. So when it was just the room to go in there or fill it out in here, it's like, why is that guy going in there? He must have something to hide. But when there's a few computers out here and when they're full, you can go into this room, or you can do it online on your at home and your phones, or entirely as it suits you, but we must get the data out of this. Yeah, okay. Sorry? Question? Yeah. So thinking about the logistics and the flow and the psychology of doing this, I don't know that we're going to stretch to be able to having different recovery centres depending on whether we won or lost, but certainly something for us to consider. Now, is there anything else that we need to build into here, do you think? Anything else that we need to think about in terms of our strategies? Now, I have just said, very briefly here at education, but clearly that's cutting across all of these areas. We heard very clearly about the sleep strategies and including jet lag with that. And within this whole area that we're going to be having different recovery strategies depending on whether this is in a training adaptation phase versus this is in a competition phase versus recovery phase. But that will have to be built into the person who's managing this and interacting with the coach. Yeah.
I think this is ideal for the training sessions. When we are in competition, it's a different threat because all the time we are maybe in a hotel, we are playing in a stadium, and we don't have all these facilities to make the recovery. So we can imagine this for a club, for example, when they are training, when they are coming to the club, and after the training session, they go to the recovery section. But when we are in competition, and we had just a competition for this week,
Sure.
we are in a hotel,
Yeah.
we are in a stadium, they don't have these facilities, and we are making the recovery in the changing room.
Yeah, and we've talked a couple of times about the
Yeah.
notion that we're going to have to plan ahead for this and have these strategies in place. And
Okay.
I think we're across that. Nicola, are we even going to, given that it's a placebo, are we going to have one little cupboard with some electrostim in there, or it doesn't get a chance to come in? Speak now.
I
please.
think it is better if it is available
Okay.
and if it is the best placebo you can provide. So, but I think it's better if it is available
Okay.
with a few instructions, and then people are free to use it or not. But it's better if it.
Okay. And in that regard, it's sounding like really it doesn't matter particularly what we have as long as the athlete thinks this is a good thing. So it needs to have probably some nice shiny lights and make some noise. And
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
I agree. The interaction with psychologists should be stronger.
absolutely.
And I think you also mentioned relaxation techniques.
yeah.
And I think besides nap rooms or whatever, if you have a sort of relaxation area where people are free, one more time to select, if some people want to visualize their performance, or they want to see videos, or they want to listen to the music or whatever, but or they need a psychologist who makes standardized relaxation procedures, I think it's important to have it. Then they
Yeah.
can use it or not. But I think it's important to have the maximum number of possibilities.
Yeah, and it will no doubt seem like an oversight, and it seemed like I'm fudging a bit here, but our psychologist was due to be here, but for one reason or another, he's at another conference, and this is all being recorded, so we can sit back later. And Tom,
Okay.
we are going to take your point of view.
Hey Tom, we are all psychologists.
That was. Do you have a room where the athletes can just hang out, or no?
Yeah. Here. Oh, sorry.
Oh, so there's somewhere else they can go. Got it. But to me, that kind of thing where so if this room was a place where it's just they can chill out together. Again, I don't know your setting, and it doesn't make sense at Shona's place because they can go somewhere else. But again, creating the ideal. And I think respecting the fact that on the road things are different, you're trying to change a culture or introduce something to a culture. And that's what's important about this place, is it's introducing a cultural change or something new where they understand this is what I do. Now, when I'm on the road, I'm going to do it different because I don't have the same facilities, but I do this all the time. And they can pick and choose. Well, some stuff is mandatory, and other it's available. And that's what creates change.
I agree with Nicola about the relaxation area, because we've got one which is really important at the Institute. And what about inside? We've got, of course, some specific music. That's first. And secondly, we have also some. We name these Hydrojet Beds. It means it's kind of a warm system. Then you are lying in the lying position, and then it's something that simulated some waves, and with for music, relaxation, and these beds, and also aromatherapy, which is work.
I'm sorry.
Aromatherapy.
Oh, aromatherapy.
Yeah. I'm not really convinced, but as you can see with Inigo, we have just read some papers on this, and obviously it works. Then we program in this relaxation area all these devices. It means aroma and beds, hydrogen beds and music, and it's really interesting because it's a dark room, and sometimes or many times people just elite athletes just go there and have relaxed 20 minutes, and I think it works.
Okay. And is there anything else, Sean?
One thing that some of our athletes have started using and like the recovery pump, the boots, the pneumatic type compression, and so we've got sort of couches or bed sort of seats where the athletes can sit and just to have the space where, okay, if we find something that they might like to use, or we want to trial for a research setting, that there's the space there for them to be able to do that. So just having the those options there for space. And I know this is probably not very exciting, but storage and being able to have a space to be able to move things around, especially if you've got portable equipment, the more storage that you can have, the better, and change facilities that are close, or as close by as you can, is shower and toilets, and so if the athletes are finished for the day, they don't need to go somewhere else to get showered and changed. I think it's really important.
I don't know how the decision will be handled for the center, but why don't you give a questionnaire to all the trainers and all the athletes by saying what would you like to have in a future center for recovery, and then maybe leaving open the questions or providing some possibilities. And then I think that's also important to listen to what they would like to have, because that
To get
makes
buy-in.
the perceptual recovery better, I think.
For sure.
In a magic world, you can have also some specific visual analogic scales in order to follow the recovery process itself, if it works or not. It means the athletes can go just before and fit in before and after the recovery, and depending, of course, on the training loads itself. And then you can have the efficiency with some statistics of the recovery process. And also it's a way to know if they do adequately the appropriate recovery. Sometimes that's fine, and we try to use it also in the institute, but it's tough, but we can.
For sure, yeah. A nice loud voice.
It's possible that the diets have a small area compared with the importance it have in the square. I mean, maybe I can use cryotherapy, I can use massage, but finally I have to add it, the proteins, the carbohydrates to the body to help to the muscle repair, to help to the refuel, to stay ready for the next match or for next training.
Sure.
See, yes.
Yeah, I mean, deliberately there's no scale along here, so this area will be as big as it needs to be, and if it turns out that making this 5 square feet means it does nothing, then clearly that would be stupid for us to recommend it like that. Exactly. Well, I'm heading straight there now. Yeah? Loud voice. Yeah, what do we think? Yeah, we got big thumbs up here from Dr. Samuels, Greg. Yeah, okay. Blocking.
Sorry, just we are talking about the tool it is to how to provide some tools. As psychologists, this is my experience. It means the others, it's inside, not outside. It means when the players will leave it, it means he has a good experience or bad experience. He should have good skills how to manage pressure.
Sure.
Exactly, because all that it's fine, but what we are seeking is what is the plan of the athletes how to recover himself. It means when we are talking about recovery, we are talking about self-management, how to manage yourself and to get recover.
Okay.
But
Thanks.
it means we need education.
Good point.
On which we can play what we would like to educate the athlete with.
Yeah,
In terms
and
of sleep, in terms of nutrition, in terms of recovery.
well, I guess we want to balance up not having too many screens to be distracting.
The other thing is about changing behavior. So I don't know if you guys have a lot. You can't expect people to change their behavior by looking at the screen. It's not going to happen. I'm just telling you.
Yeah.
It's a complete waste of money.
Yeah.
So if you actually want to change behavior, you actually have to think about how are you gonna go about doing that? And that's, so we say education, but we don't actually talk about, how do you effectively change the behavior using your education. So that's actually important. So this is about blocking off space, one thing, and then it's about methods. So you have methods for concluding, because we listen to the experts talk. We have world-class methods. You need methods too for educating. That's a whole separate thing. And I would argue that there's no point in having television screens with information, all due respect. It's about, thinking, and that's a whole other day.
Yeah, look, and I agree, there's a big difference, something that looks nice in a catalogue, and that's a mistake we've made an awful lot, versus something that actually gets things done.
Exactly. And so we're used to sitting and listening to people talk, and we don't change our behavior. So I know how hard it is to teach physicians to do something different. It's almost impossible.
Well, I'm thinking of the number of physios who are going to go back and put a Compex on a patient this afternoon.
Exactly. Think about it, because there are ways of doing it, and there are very effective ways to change athletes' behavior
Yeah,
through education. But I would argue that screens don't.
sure. And okay, so plan A, what would it be?
I think you actually have to identify a person whose responsibility is to translate knowledge.
Yeah.
So they're the person who's responsible for taking what happened in the room today and making it work with the athletes. So that you do needs assessments with the athletes, coaches, and trainers. We had to figure out ways to do this with the IST, the integrated support team, which is a lot of different people, and brings all their different expertise, the psychologist, the physio, the trainer, and then when we didn't have a physio because the team couldn't afford it or whatever, we transferred that stuff to the trainer or whatever, and then we give them the tools as the experts, because we're the experts, we give them the tools, and then maybe you have a knowledge transfer person, that's the real expert, saying this is how you can change it, and they give you the structure.
Within a culturally sensitive and appropriate.
Thing, that's a whole other thing, it's culturally sensitive.
Mm.
When we first opened our centre, we had a bit of a rule that the first time the athletes came in, they had to have an education session, and it was a combination of this is how this place works, these are the safety issues, this is the the OHS things, this is how the booking processes work, and we tied that in with an education session at the same time, and agreed it's one session is not going to change the world, but it was a way of making a start that you're not getting in the door without having some type of understanding of how to use the centre and some basics on why you're actually doing these strategies.
Yeah, so I'm thinking of something.
Did you do that
as a yeah, as a team, and if it was like at track and field and there's lots of individual athletes, there was a time when the group would come in.
All right. Well, given the lateness of the hour, Chris.
Yeah, don't forget the weight balance as well. The weight balance next to the diet area.
Yeah. And that's it. That's what I go and tell my boss.
Yeah, I guess the whole water area. There's a whole lot of other things that specifics that you'd need in there. But yeah, certainly jets in the spas and the depth and the size of the water area is obviously lots of specifics there that would need to be included. But you can configure that however you like.
Tomorrow morning's job. All right, well, I reckon that's just about exhausted all of us, and we'll go and get some recovery of our own flavour and preference. And I'd like to thank our speakers again for what's been, for me, a really productive and enjoyable day. So those of us that have made it all the way to the end, thank you very much.